Is this how you feel when you're researching going to a college or a university and you see the statistics on how many people don't graduate, what the cost of a 4 year tuition is, or how many people don't get a job in the field that they graduate in, and you finally think to yourself, is college even worth it? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the statistics behind getting a 4 year degree, what you can expect during the process, and helping you make the decision on whether or not it's worth it and whether or not it's the right decision for you. Let's jump into it. So what's up guys, it's Cody. Like I mentioned in today's video, we're breaking down exactly whether or not college is worth it. You know, I see a lot of statistics and research about how a higher education can lead to increased income in the short term, as well as a higher possibility of earning more money over the course of your life and your career. And while this is true, I'm not sure that that's the whole picture. There's a huge cost that goes into deciding whether or not going to a college or a university is the right decision for you. And I think it's something that you need to weigh, especially if you're in your younger years. If you just got out of high school, you're in your early 20s, and you're trying to figure out if this is the right decision for you, this is going to be some very important information for you. So I hope you stick around all the way to the end. So the first thing that I want to jump into is the statistics, because this is very important information if you're considering going to a college or a university to get a 4 year degree or even a master's or a doctorate. This is going to be important information for you to have so that you can make the right decision. So I just did some easy Google searches to get this information, and I'll share it here for you on the screen. The average annual salary of a person who has a 4 year bachelor's degree is $50,390. This is about $4,200 per month, or if you break it down to each working day, it's about $210 if you work 20 days during that month. And when you think about it, this really doesn't go very far. When you think about the cost of your rent or your mortgage, the cost of transportation, you know, your car, your insurance, your gas, everything like that, and your food, as well as everything else you have to pay for during the month, this is pretty hard to get by on. Looking at the average tuition cost for a 4 year degree, you're sitting at about $34,740. And this doesn't even account for all of the other expenses that you're gonna have during your school years. Now, these are mostly just living expenses, right? You still gotta pay rent, you still gotta eat, you still gotta travel, you still gotta do all of those things, but you're not earning income in most cases at this point. So you've got your average tuition, plus you've gotta add in all of your living expenses during this time. The next thing that I want to talk about is the student loan debt that we have here in America. Now, if you don't know, it's become extremely easy to get a student loan now. Most of these student loans are coming from the government, so they're government backed, and they've got very flexible terms, and they've got money to lend. Because this money has become so easy to get, a lot of students are going into the university or the college, whereas years ago, they might not have been able to afford it. Because of the increase in students, universities are realizing, hey, we can charge more to have these students come. Of course, they do have increased costs, right? They've got to build new buildings, employ more faculty, stuff like that, but they're realizing that they can really push the tuition cost up, and students are willing to pay it. Doing a quick search on the student loan debt, you can see that it's now over $1.5 trillion here in the United States. With the exception of mortgages, this is now the leading type of debt. This outpaces car loans and credit card debt. And just to put that into perspective, $1 trillion is a lot of money. And not only just a trillion, but $1.5 trillion, right? This is 1.5 trillion. And to visualize that, you have to think about it this way. It's a million million, or 1,000 billion. Let's say it's a million million. Think about how much effort it takes to earn $1 million, or how much effort it takes to count to 1 million, or to rack up 1 million of anything. Now do that 1 million times. That's how much 1 trillion is. It's absolutely insane. Or even a billion, right? Imagining $1 billion is insane. It's hard to fathom. Now imagine that 1,000 times over. And that's just to get to 1 trillion. We're at 1.5 trillion, and it's expected to continue climbing. In fact, if you rounded up all of the money that's in circulation throughout the United States, there'd be just over $1 trillion. So you'd have to have every single paper bill that's ever been printed, and you still wouldn't even have enough to pay off all of the student loan debt that we have here in America. So let's jump into the next statistic. The number of people who actually get a job in the field that they graduate in, it's less than 27%. So that means that only 1 in 4 people are actually working in the field that they got their degree in. And this leads me right into one of the major points that I want to make here in the video, and that's that people are not getting degrees for something specific. You know, I think one of the major problems that we do have in our society right now is that there's a lot of people going to college or going to a university and getting this degree, going into a lot of debt, but they really don't have any type of intention on what type of degree they intend to get, or even what type of job they want. Now, there are a lot of people out there who do go to college and they say, I want to be something specific. And for them, it works out. But the statistics show that 1 in 4 people are working in their field, which means 3 in 4 people are not. So if you've got 3 out of 4 people who are not working in the field they graduated in, that could mean a lot of wasted time and a lot of wasted money, because either they graduated and they don't even like the job that they're in now, or they weren't able to find a job, or they realized they wanted to do something else entirely, or maybe they got a degree in something so broad that they weren't able to narrow it down and actually get a job in the field and position that they wanted to. So at this point, we've covered all of the statistics and the facts about what going to college is like and what you can expect. Only 1 in 4 people are going to work in the field that they actually get a degree in. If you get a 4-year degree, you're only going to earn about a $50,000 a year salary, and you can expect to be in debt about $35,000, assuming that you don't get any of that paid for by mom and dad, or you don't work while you're in school. So let's talk about some of the good things that come out of going to college. Well, you can meet a lot of really cool people. In fact, a lot of top entrepreneurs and business people have said that if you're going to go to college, making connections with your classmates can sometimes be the most valuable part of being there at school. Being in an environment like this where you can meet tons of classmates who are in most cases really smart, especially if you go to a top league school, you can really set yourself up to have some valuable connections that you can then use later in life whenever you need business help, whenever you need funding, or maybe you just get lucky and you get in on a good idea. And of course, like the facts said, if you go to college and you get a higher education, you can really set yourself up to earn more over the course of your lifetime and your career by doing this. When comparing to somebody who's just a high school graduate, you can expect to earn up to $1 million more than them over the course of your lifetime. I think that one thing that you also need to consider is, why am I going to college? Am I just going to college because people have told me that that's what I'm supposed to do? Am I just going to university because that's what my high school counselor told me to do, or my parents? And I think it's important to remember that going to college or university should be for something specific. Now, if you do make the decision to go to college, I would urge you to be specific about why you're going and what you're majoring in. If you're majoring in something that requires specific skills that can't be learned anywhere else, then yes, going to a college or university is absolutely necessary. A great example of this is a doctor. Right? You have to go through the proper training in order to become a doctor. Same thing with a lawyer, right? You can be a self-taught lawyer. You could probably be pretty dang good at it if you committed your life to doing that. But in most cases, people aren't going to take you serious unless you also have a degree and you have some of that formal training. In most cases, you can learn this stuff, but having the formal education behind you and having a degree with you is really going to help you get into a better position with a better company and a higher salary. So when you go for something specific like this, you've got way better chances of getting a higher salary, higher than that $50,000 that we talked about, and doing something that you actually love and having the formal training that goes along with that. So because of that, I actually want to talk a little bit about my experience. I graduated high school and I didn't go right into college. I didn't leave my home state. I stayed right where I was. I was working through high school and I continued working after that. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I took a semester off. I missed the first semester of going to a college. I finally decided that, hey, I need to do something. I don't know what I'm doing, but maybe that's the right decision for me. Unfortunately, I didn't have a video like this to give me a couple of different options or a different perspective on how to look at it, but I decided that I need to do something. So I enrolled at my local community college and went to a couple of semesters. And by about the third or fourth semester, I was pretty tired of it. I was, wondering why I was there. I was really just going because I had to be. I was still working full-time during this point, so I was paying for school, so luckily I didn't have to go into any student debt. The tuition that was there was affordable enough that I didn't need to, but I was really just kind of moving forward without any real intention. It was at that point that I realized, what's going to happen after I get my 4-year degree? I'm going to go to this community college for 2 years and then transfer to the university. and I'm going to have a 4-year degree, and then what? What am I going to do? It's going to say, bachelor's of business. That's what I was going for at the time. And what then, right? I mean, business is so broad. Once you get out into the real world, you realize that business is about as broad as you can get, right? You've got business with restaurants, you've got business with real estate, you've got business with sales and marketing. I mean, there's so many different types of business that I realized I really wasn't going to be able to do anything with that degree other than say I went to 4 years of school. So what did I do? I dropped out. I got my associate's degree. I finished the 2 years because I said, hey, I'm close enough. I might as well do this because if I don't, I know I'll never come back. So I got my 2-year degree and never went back. After dropping out, I got my real estate license, and after my second full year in the business, I was making 6 figures. Well over the $50,000 salary I could have expected with getting that 4-year degree. Now, I'm not saying that this didn't come with a lot of uncomfortable situations and putting myself out there, a lot of stress, a lot of months with no income, but I got there and I became a better person because of it, and I'm so grateful that I made that decision to drop out and pursue something different. I'm not saying that it's for everybody, but it was the right decision for me, and it may be the right decision for you. I would encourage you to look at other professions. Look at real estate, look at sales, look at doing something that you don't need to go and get a formal education for. There's plenty of opportunity outside of going to a traditional 4-year university. You should look at trade schools. Look at trade schools. I know plumbers and electricians who are easily making 6 figures, and the training that they need to do is a lot less. It costs a lot less to get into, and a lot of them actually enjoy what they do. I'd also encourage you to look at other options like becoming a mechanic or going into something like welding. I'd also encourage you to do something that's entirely outside of trade school. You don't need to go to trade school to become good at what you want to do. Maybe you want to go into graphic design, or you want to go into photography, or you want to go into videography and become a YouTuber just like this. Maybe you want to go into film editing. Those are a lot of things that you can learn on your own and become really dang good at it, and then charge other people vast amounts of money for your services. That's something that you can learn in a lot less time without all of the debt. It may be something that you absolutely love, and you don't have to go to a 4-year university in order to get a degree just to do the same exact thing. Some of the best people I know in these fields have never gone to college, so it's something worth considering. What if you got into real estate sales? Real estate sales is something that in most states you can complete in about 1 to 2 months. Here in my home state, you can get into real estate sales in under 6 weeks. You can enroll in school, do the schooling, get done, process your paperwork, and file it with the state, and have a license ready to go within 6 weeks. You could be selling homes in just 2 months. Doing this is going to cost you a couple $1,000s, but it's still a lot cheaper than going and getting a 4-year degree. In real estate, it honestly can be fairly simple to make over 6 figures in real estate. You're going to be self-employed. It's going to be hard. You're going to have a lot of uncomfortable conversations, and you're going to really have to put yourself out there. But is it worth it? I can tell you that for me, making 6 figures and changing my life in that manner, to be able to invest in real estate, to be able to help people, to be able to provide for my family at the level that I want to, is absolutely life-changing. And it could be that way for you as well. So you probably clicked on this video because you're in a position where you're wondering, hey, is college worth it? Should I go to a university? Should I do these things? Or is there a better path? And in my opinion, I'm not so sure. I think that with the amount of debt that these students have to go into just to get into the school and to graduate, and then the relatively small salary of just $50,000 per year, I think that a lot of people would just be better off simply smashing the like button on this video. But really, guys, looking at other alternatives such as going to a trade school, getting into real estate, getting into a sales position, doing something that you love, whether it's pursuing videography or pursuing photography or graphic design, these are all things that you can learn on your own. You can cut your teeth by doing free work for people. You can cut your teeth by getting an internship, and then you can finally start charging for your skills. Some of the best people in these fields that I know never went to college. They never went to a single day of school. They put in the time, they put in the hours learning their craft, got really dang good at it, and then had people reaching out to them asking for their help on these different projects. There's so many things that you can do. So what I would say is that whether you decide to go to college or not, look at these other options, see if there's a better fit for you, consider these other options, and don't just get pushed into that rabbit hole of feeling like you have to go to college or to a university to be successful. The awesome thing about this too is that you don't need to be at the very top of your field in order to make an awesome living. Now, of course, you've got the guys who are at the top of their field and they're probably making millions of dollars in their field because they're so highly sought after. You can be a good YouTuber, you can be a good photographer or graphic designer, and you can still make 6 figures in a year. The cool thing too is if you can get into the top 5 or 10% in your industry, you could be earning well into the 6-figure mark. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this on all things real estate, sales, passive income, self-development, and the like. Give me a thumbs up here on this video if you enjoyed this content and found it useful. Follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you in the next one.